Across the way from Motomachi is Chinatown. Chinatown occupies roughly about a dozen blocks, making it quite large in size. However, you can tell pretty clearly when you're entering or leaving the area, as there is a Chinese gate at every street entrance. There's plenty to wander about and see here, from large shops with careful layout of their wares to smaller concerns with cheaper items. And of course, there are the shops where you can't recognise a single thing, and the shops providing interesting snacks. Plus, of course, there are dragons, and there's also a fairly decent Chinese temple, usually fairly highly decorated. In fact, there's only really one thing that Chinatown doesn't have, compared with other Chinatowns in other countries, and that is Chinese people. You'll hear the odd word of Chinese, but there are relatively few, no doubt due to Japan's immigration laws. Walk through Chinatown and you get to the port and Yamashita Park. Yamashita Park's actually built from the rubble of the 1923 earthquake, and on Saturdays and Sundays you'll see families out and about enjoying the park's stretches of green. At the south end, the park is overlooked by the Marine Tower, and there's also an interesting piece of art, very appropriate to a port town. The park sits next to Yokohama Port, and so over the course of an hour or two you can see the coming and going of ships, tugboats, pilots, all the regular activity that you would expect in a port. The Hikawa Maru is now parked pretty much permanently next to Yamashita Park. It's a classic ship and one of the icons of Yokohama. However, at present it's closed. Possibly at some point in the future it may be reopened to the public. The promenade along the park leads north up to the beginning of Osanbashi Pier. This is where a lot of the pilot boats are berthed, and if you continue north you'll see at least one of the three towers that are Yokohama landmarks. These three towers are named the King Tower, the Queen Tower, and the Jack Tower. Obviously they're examples of Western influences on the local architecture. Walking further around the waterside, you reach an area now known as Akarenga. Akarenga is a series of old port warehouses that have been gutted and converted inside. The first floor is now all cafes and restaurants, and the second floor is shopping. It's worth a look inside just to see how it's been converted, but it's easy to spend time here browsing around or having lunch now that you've walked all this way. I should mention that if you're not keen on walking, there's a red trolley-style bus. It does a big loop around all the places that I've mentioned, so you could just get on and off in each location if you wanted to. One building that's sure to catch your eye as you wander around Yokohama is the actual landmark tower. It sits right in the heart of the newish Minato Mirai area, which includes the Cosmo Ferris wheel, possibly the biggest clock in the world. Certainly, it's the biggest clock with a built-in roller coaster. The Landmark Tower is the tallest building in Japan. It costs about 1,000 yen to get to the observation deck on the 69th floor, and its elevators reach 45 kilometers per hour. And until recently, they had the Guinness World Record for the fastest elevators in the world. Starting in Yamate and walking around throughout the course of the day means you're likely to see the city of Yokohama from the Landmark Tower at the best time of day, dusk, when the light slowly fades and over a cup of coffee you can see all of Yokohama transform from a fairly typical Japanese urban landscape into a landscape pinpointed with neon and a myriad of other lights.